down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
What's going on, Savvy investors, party people, entrepreneurs, young and old, girls and boys, ladies, that's right, and gents. This is your boy, Steve VanCauwenbergh, tuned in to the radio show. I appreciate you. It's been too long. Yep, I say that every time. I got to come up with a better line. Anyway, I just feel like I gotta do a podcast. I do have a few people out there that enjoy the podcast and that have let me know their disappointment. And when are you going to do another podcast, VanCauwenbergh? And I'm like, man, I really didn't know. I've kind of just going through some great, strong processes that have been life altering in a positive way. What do you mean? Like, one is like, why am I doing these things in general? Just so you know, my tonality may change. I feel like I'm today, July 2021. I feel like I got Steve VanCauwenbergh 2.0. There's just certain things I'm just not playing around with. There's just certain people I don't play around with anymore. There's just certain things I just don't do anymore. And a lot of these things are good. These are great fruition, economical success from grinding it out for 20 years. Bang, bang. Also health and just being committed and focused. And that, I don't know where you're at. One of my homeboys just texted me. He's like, hey, man, I've been down this road again. You have any suggestions on weight loss? And I'm like, man, I feel that pain. I know what you're talking about, and sometimes I just wrote this right back to him. I was like, man, you just need to sit down and write out a plan. And that's what I'm going to start off with today. Party people is 47 years old. That's my age. And the success, there's a lot of things have brought success in my life. But I can tell you right now that the monumental success of just off the chain, can't believe it. You're like, what in the world? How'd you do that? It's because I've been writing down plans. Yep, that's right. That's simple. I just take a pen and a paper and I just write it down. This is what I want. This is what I want it to look like. This is where I want to be. You could call it writing down your goals, but I use the same approach for just what I'm going to get accomplished in this business. What am I going to get accomplished in my health? What am I going to do? I know, and it just sounds so easy, cliche. I don't know where you're at, but it really works. You really need to take the time to invest in yourself. And I've just noticed this last couple of months, weeks, that I was just kind of like a ping pong ball. Some tenant calls, not tenant, but property manager calls. And then all of a sudden I got nothing going on and I'm dealing with something that is like I shouldn't be dealing with. And I think that's the success, is leverage people, okay? Leverage their skill. And I'm talking about not leverage people in an abusive way or a way that's, maybe not advantageous, but a way that use their skills and their talents and step aside and don't get involved and leave them alone. And that's been one of the things in the trenches right now, ladies and gents, is I just been shutting my mouth. I know it's hard to believe because I do talk, and I just taught a class, and sometimes I'm like, man, what did I just say? I can't even remember. But this lately, when I see something, I usually try to help that person. Like I know they shouldn't be working that hard, or they shouldn't be on the property all the time, and I normally would try to encourage them or tell them even this, you're dumb, right? Like, hey, you shouldn't be on this property all the time. That's not what this game is about, right? Well, I'm just, everyone has an excuse. And I just realized, man, there's no excuse but you. And VanCauwenbergh, you just need to just leave it alone. If someone really wants the help, they're going to ask you, and then you're going to be sensitive in a certain degree to respond to that person to build them up. Now, usually when I respond to people and I don't try to break them down like, yeah, man, you weak or something. No, I'm trying to be like a Tony Robbins situation, like try to change you, try to break you. And I realized that just don't work, man. People they're on their own. I just got this outrageous email from somebody that a property that they were in foreclosure, and I came and saved them and helped them. And then I just like ding dong, let them stay in the crib and did an option contract with them and let them stay in there for a year. I'm like, yo, in 1 year, you need to get this refinanced and get on. And I put in some profit in there that was worth my time. And then I just was real creative with this deal. I went and borrowed private money, and then I really wanted to bless the person I borrowed the private money. So I just gave them like just crazy return on their private money. And this was just I was just trying to see if I could just do this deal in and out. And man, it dragged on for like a year and a half to almost 2 years of just drama. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm helping these people, and then they didn't pay their taxes. So now they go pay their taxes. And who pays this stuff? I pay this stuff, and I don't get no return. And I'm realizing after I did this whole deal, well, how much money did I make on this transaction? It just sounds great, Steve VanCauwenbergh. Oh, you saved somebody from foreclosure. Yeah, you somebody special. Shoot, I didn't get paid. Like, but that's not even why I'm mad. You know, I'm frustrated. Not, you know, that's cool. You know, I learned to borrow private money. I didn't need the money at the time, but I mean, of course, I've been borrowing private money for a long time. But I really just wanted to keep the private money rolling. I wanted to take care of that my private lender, so I could use this money in the future to show them how it works. La da da. And then it just came into one problem after another. Then the option contract came up, and they didn't do it. They didn't have the money to pay the taxes because we said we were going to pay the taxes because you're going to refinance us out anyway. And that didn't happen. And then that people just then I gotta make an option. Should I pay their taxes? Oh, I gotta pay their taxes. And then another month went by. Oh, then another month went by. Then another month. Then a year later went by. Now legally, at this point in time, the option contract is gone, and I could have just kept this crib. But that wasn't really my motive, and sometimes, I mean, man, I don't know if I regret not crushing this deal and taking this, and it would have been like the epic deal, like, yo, you got this $140,000 house for saving somebody, but I really genuinely didn't want to own a house, and it was a legit house, and I would have took it if these people bailed out and bounced out. Oh, absolutely, but it wasn't my motive, and I would say I was a kind of a sucker on this deal. So they finally get approved somehow. I'm like, okay, it's cool. And then 1 month, it's going to close. It doesn't close. No big deal. So then this is really just happened to me this last week, and I just got this email yesterday, and I'm like, just hot. And then I just realized, see, this is where you get tangled up, man. It's not your life. And this is it. So on Friday, we finally get to close. Get to close. 6:25. Get to close. Man, congratulations. First of all, which is fascinating, these people were in foreclosure at $45,000. They owed about $20,000 in back drama, so I got them whole about $60,000. It was about $15,000. So then it was the other year. So some bank somehow, probably FHA loan somehow, got them a $100,000 loan. Now, just 2 years ago, these folks couldn't handle a $45,000 loan, couldn't get themselves out of it. Now they got a $100,000 loan, but that's another point. That's another podcast in my mind. But it's not my business. So I closed on 625. I mean. And there's a lot of things after I did all the math. I really didn't make much money here. And for the effort and the lost opportunity I had during this year and a half process, I had to pay my private money back. They made 6 G's. That's the funny thing in the whole game is I borrowed like 60 something thousand, paid 10%, and that person made 6 G's. I had to cash them out somewhere along the path because I didn't know where this deal was going. And this was actually a private money that I was borrowed that I was going to split the transaction with. But then I noticed this transaction is going nowhere fast. And these people did not seem like they're going to cash out. So I had to pay that person. So I lost I wouldn't say I lost 6 G's, but my private lender made 6 G's, and I did not make 6 G's. So let me just be clear. Then I'm going to deal with these people every month that are slow pay, or there's something wrong, or there's an excuse, or we're going to close, maybe. Okay, so anyway, long story short, so I go, and I'm like, why am we're closing at 3 o'clock, and I'm thinking to myself, man, why are you going to close at 3 o'clock and meet these people when you just go pre-sign? Oh, good job, VanCauwenbergh, go pre-sign. So I'm telling myself, go down there. So I go down there, hey, title company, can I sign at 1 o'clock? Bang. So I sign at 11 o'clock, boom, no big deal. I don't even need to check, come back later. I'll come back on Monday. No check. Now, come on, y'all. And the lady even knew that I even paid these people's closing at the end just to close this deal out. And she even the title lady was like, man, you must like these people is what she said. I can't remember. You going to pay their closing too? And I was like, I don't want to get into it. I really try to help somebody in this transaction, and this is where I went wrong. And she's like, their loan docs did not go through. There was an error in their loan docs. And then I was just pissed right there. I was like, yo, I signed the documents as requested. The loan doc, and then I drove all the way over here to pick up this check. And then, oh, I'm sorry, we forgot to tell you. Oh, now you lucky I work at Orange Theory right around the corner, but I'm just saying, I'm real hot about that. And so then, no big deal. Now I'm like trying to get a hold of my closer. I'm like, hey, what's going on here? No response for a day. Like, okay, something is not right. I'm like, this deal's going to fall on my face again. And I'm like, I'm out all this money up front and for a whole year, some change. And then so anyway, they finally call me back. Oh, we're so sorry, Mr. VanCauwenbergh. We have your money. How would you like it? I'm like, you should curry it over. But I wasn't mean. It was an email. I was like, I'll come by and pick it up. No big deal. So, I work out right over there. After I work out, I'm going to roll over there, pick up the check, bang, bang, and move on down to the road. Well, I get an email. I get an email from the people that I helped out. Can I, Mr. Hello, thank you for closing. Something like that. We would like a proration of our rent. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I have died for a whole year. I've saved you from foreclosure. You literally were the bank was going to walk them off their property a year and a half ago. You were supposed to pay me off a year ago. And now you're going to ask me for a couple of days of proration. Now, at first I was hot, man. And I normally do not respond to stuff like this. And I just sat there, and my wife sat right next to me. I can't imagine what she thought of me drafting this letter. And I was very nice. And I let them know, just so you know, one thing is that we saved you. Number two, we paid your taxes for you, and we never got any money. Like, meaning that we loaned you money. We didn't get any money. We paid your taxes that you owed. And la-da-da-da-da. And I just couldn't believe that someone would treat me like that, and I saved them. And, that's just what life is. That's what it is. And, I realized, and my biggest regret, I guess, for the moment, is like, man, maybe I should have just took the crib. And I said it in the near the bottom of the email and I was just lovingly telling them that I have not received my proceeds yet. Thus, I could not give you a proration because I didn't until this morning. And I was like, the crazy thing that I wrote on there, I was like, I just want to let you know that legally at any time, I could have just kept this property and kicked you out because you were just a tenant, because I did you a solid to keep you as a tenant so you can get your financial affairs together so you can acquire the property back. We bought that property in our name so you can get off the foreclosure and get the ball rolling. With that to say, what is your expectations? What are you trying to do? A lot of my friends were like, you should have just took that crib, man. And then at the same time, I'm like, nah, what do I want to be? Do I want to be no one cares about you, VanCauwenbergh. No, maybe one person that listens to this podcast be like, oh, he's such a nice guy. Yeah, but I'm broke because of it. Like, listen, the opportunity cost, how much did I lose $100,000 jerking around with this car, with this process? Not only every month I had to deal with them, property management, 10%. Not only that I had to borrow and lost $6,000 on the money. Not only that I could have probably was distracted, screwing around with something, thinking I'm trying to help somebody. And there's a reason why there's foreclosures. There's a reason why there's policies and procedures. There's a reason why these things happen. Don't get caught up in trying to be a savior, okay? Get caught up and stay focused on what you need to be doing, okay? And I don't know where this story came from. I don't even have this written down on my little notes here for the podcast. That was just boiling inside of me. And that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. I have not neglected my great people in this society that encourages me and that listens to this podcast, and it makes an impact in your life. I'm humble. Let me tell you, I'm just staying focused. That's what's cracking. I'm just staying focused. I'm just focusing on my health. I'm focusing on my family. I'm focusing on the money. I'm focusing on the transactions. I'm focusing on deals. And you see, I wonder through that transaction, if I was focused on something, maybe I was just too not. Every time that this flesh, this thorn would come up, I would just kind of blow it off like, nah, it's okay. Let them stay another month. That's no big deal. 6 months later, well, how much are we charging rent? Well, that's really, but when you add it all up, it wasn't worth it. It was worth it for me to take it. But then I didn't want that on my conscience. See, that's the problem. What are you trying to do in this game? Are you trying to make money? Or are you trying to be a savior? Are you trying to live life? Are you trying to grow? You trying to provide for your family? Is this retirement? Always remember, what are you trying to do? Put it on top point and be focused on it. I think that's what got me this far, 20 years in the grind. And it's very interesting. After you 20 years of grind, you kind of retired and you like think about things. Things just don't matter. People just don't care about you no more. They just, get the right people around you and grow. So that's where I'm at right now, ladies and gents. I'm still in the grind. I could, some people really get fulfilled telling them what deals I do. And, I could do a podcast or several or 10 podcasts of all the transactions that I have been doing. And they have been life changing, not only just because of the extra digits on them that I thought I would never, ever accomplish, but I just don't want to be, talk about me, I don't know what to call it. And sometimes people like that and it may motivate you. And so I'm going to try to pepper some of these in and let you know if there's something specific you want to know. Cause like I had somebody ask me some very great specific questions, like, how did that transaction happen? What'd you do? What was the drama that you had? I'm like, every deal, it seems like in my world right now has some drama to it. And you just roll with it. All right. Nothing is easy. It just sounds glamorous when you say boom, 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 boom. And then, oh yeah, you closed it, man. There's a lot more in this game of real estate. And if you're new to the game, stay strong and focus. I spoke at this youth group thing the other day, or youth thing called Ascend Leaders. These is young people. They're phenomenal. I mean, it's like, stay the course. They asked me, how do you get in the game? Anyone can get in the game. You just got to stay the course, and you got to be hungry enough. And how deep do you want to go, and how hard do you want to work, and how bad do you want it? And that's the question I ask myself every day. Every day, how bad do I want it? What am I going to sacrifice? And what do I want to gain? And whatever I want to gain, am I willing to lose the time, the energy, the relationships to do it? So ask yourself that. Now, so in the trenches, just so you know, a couple things. Number one, I've been working on for 6 months a business development in Midwest City, Oklahoma. Bang. This has been a phenomenal process. This is one of the things that has jammed my game up. And I have written probably minimum three, I would say 4 to 5 business plans on how I'm going to use this property, using this thing called economic development from the city, meaning I had to propose the city my wonderful idea of a mountain bike track course, building, facility, money-making machine, and that came crashing down on me. And thousands of dollars later that I realized late in the game that mountain bike people, which I'm one of those people, do not pay to ride their bike. They like to ride, and they'll drive 5, 10, 20 hours to go ride their little mountain bike for free. And so I've learned a great deal of business savvy that I thought I was, and soon to become even more savvy. And I learned working with the city and getting grants and money and development and Obama and millions of dollars. And it has been a process. And I can spend probably 5 weeks telling you where I failed and where I've succeeded in this little area. But it's been fun. I have 2.2 acres in Midwest City. I'm stoked. It has been a phenomenal project. I have learned a lot. I have great people in my world. I have great people that have left my world. Some people held on. Some people disappeared. I raised money, and then I squashed that business plan. So it was really fun for a while. I was like, thought I was somebody special. I got this business plan, and I got these 4 or 5 people committed their money. And then that business plan changed completely, and we can't even use that business plan. And then the city said I had to do these certain things on this certain ground, on this certain parking lot, and blah, blah, blah. And it's all just nuances of being a developer, which I never wanted to be, and still to this day don't want to be a developer. It's never been a dream of mine. It's been an idea. I would love to do it, maybe partner with somebody. And sure enough, I am a developer temporarily in Midwest City. So if you want to know more about that, my life struggle, learning the nuances of EPA and phase one and burp texting and geographical design and FEMA and bank funding and construction and I don't know. I could help you. But working with the city has been a very fascinating process. And I think success at the end, you want to be a millionaire, it's not the million at the end of the rainbow. It's the process that you go through it. And so you got to look at it like that. It's a journey. And I think wherever you're at right now, stick on the journey and just follow it to the end. And if it doesn't, during that process, go down to exactly where you want to be, then you have every right to stop. This is your life. Take control of it. So that's one thing that's been jamming me up. That's been 6 months, and that process is still rolling. It's probably going to be another year, and it's very fascinating. And one thing I want to tell you, if you're still listening this far, which pretty remarkable if you are, is that, poor people, and I've talked about this about 100 podcasts ago, poor people only think about the immediate right now. Where am I going to eat and how much money I have? I only have $5, so I'm going to go to the convenience store. That's poor people, okay? I'm talking about real low poor people, okay? Middle class people, they may think week to week, like, oh, man, if they don't get their paycheck, their world is upside down, all right? And I read this in the book, and I probably going to reread this book. It's phenomenal. It's for something. I can't remember, but if you really want me to find it, I'll tell you what this book. But this book was phenomenal. It really changed my life. And then it taught me this one principle. And then, kind of wealthy people, they thinking year, 2 years, a couple years in advance. I mean, and I thought of that. I was like, wow, that makes sense. Now, the really ultra rich people think 10 years, 20, generational. And so this is something that I have been gripping with for the last couple of years. So it's like, okay, it's not about how much money I'm gonna make this weekend, or it's the first, and I got 10 units. I'm gonna make this much money. I'm like, how can I scale this so I can live this one goal, dream, or reality? And how long it's gonna take me? And it's 5 years out. It's very fascinating. Even this morning, I started writing out my goals again, and I'm trying to do it on a regular, like a daily, for sure, weekly now. Not just quarterly or monthly or even yearly like I used to do. I'm like down and grinding it out. And I'm like, man, is it possible to be worth this much money, 40 million, by this time? And how am I going to get to it? And so I just have my mind start working on it, and I rewrite it. And then when I look at these goals, which I recommend you do, you get another idea. Okay, I think I can do this in this time. If I have, in one of my goals right now is in 5 years to have, I think 5 million in liquid passive investments, which is pretty cool. So passive investments is a lot of things I've been studying. And again, that could be another podcast. If does any of these things strike a chord in your world, these are all these things that I'm working on right now in my world, and finding success in passive investments. And, how do I get more money to put into these passive investments, because the passive investments pay out every month. And I'm kind of digging that instead of single family. Ladies and gents, single family is a great vehicle. Love it. Still grind them. I would buy them. You got one to sell, I'll buy it from you. But it's really not on the top of my mind. Commercial real estate's on top of my mind. Entrepreneur is on my mind big time. I got a class rolling out in August, 2-day class, 2 Sundays online. I think I'm going to go real cheap on this class. I'm going to bring the heat, and it's all because of this entrepreneur stuff that I'm working on. And, maybe I'm back to the millionaire fast lane. How could I scale faster? How could I grow bigger? In what industry and how? And, I'm studying Toro right now. Like, dude, there's some people I'm meeting on Toro, which is like Uber for cars. I mean, you study Colorado. First of all, it's just fascinating. I mean, there's this one dude up there. He's got like 40 all Toyotas, from minivans all the way to FJ Cruisers. It's just fascinating, and how he's scaling it. And then there's a guy even in Oklahoma City, where I stop every day. A guy from Arizona's got 3 Teslas here, and he's got Teslas all over the country, and he's running it all through Turo. I'm like, I need to figure that out. How does that work? Even my wife is juicy on it. We talking about it at night, and we were working on it last night. How can we make more money through Turo? How does it work? And what's the process? If anybody has done Turo or know about Turo, I'm renting Turo for the first time. I'm renting a Tesla at the end of the month. for an adventure I'm doing. But if anybody has an experience and you want to chit chat about it, man, I'm fascinated. Just how did it rent it? How did it go? What was the owner like? You know, I have Airbnbs. I own Airbnbs. I'm down with Airbnbs. I'm growing my Airbnbs right now. That's my goal right now, is to have 10 Airbnbs around the country. I used to have that goal before. I shut that goal down. I was very bummed and depressed about that goal. That was my dream, and that dream fired back up. One day, I'm like, why can I not do this dream? And I had this one in Florida, and I realized I couldn't do this dream because I don't want to manage my Airbnbs around the country. It's work. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's work. Life is work. It's work. It's work. And I realized I just need to hire somebody. Well, who could I hire? And I found somebody. I found somebody that was amped up on Airbnb. It has no money. And then she wants to learn and she loves to travel. And I'm like, this is all right. We gonna blow it up. Find me some Airbnbs, because let's gobble them up. And I'm on that process. I'm on that train. Maybe we could talk about that if anybody's interested in that. I'm looking at condos from Angel Fire to the West Coast to Snowshoe to Chattanooga to Michigan, California, maybe. I don't know for sure. Colorado. If you know about a condo, you want to make $1,000 bird dog fee, assignment fee, $5,000, $10,000 assignment fee, I'm OG and I'm about it, and I would love to give it to you. Let me know. You can call. You could go to the savvyinvestors.com. Find me on Facebook. Put my name. I'm very reachable. I would love to honor to talk to you. And then I just acquired 115 acres in Chattanooga. We're doing a campground / off the grid, primitive camping, tiny houses. That's going to be off the chain. We just acquired those 115 acres. That was a $500,000 acquisition. Fun. Maybe we should talk more about that. If you're interested in that, it was a hybrid. I had to use transactional funding. I had to close this thing on a certain day. They were not willing to extend. They were gangster. The gal that used to own the property, super gangster. Like, it was awesome. And I got a great partner. And I've learned a lot through that partnership, learned a lot still learning through that partnership, learned how to lawyer up quick, and lawyer up, attorney fire, whatever you want to call it in the beginning. I just learned a lot. I'm learning more about myself right now. I'm about Steve VanCauwenbergh 2.0, and I'm getting super focused. And so that's just my life in the trenches. I mean, there's thousands of more things I could tell you. I'm not even exaggerating. I mean, there's little things from my children growing to football to my daughter performing and Wizard of Oz. If you're not this weekend, I mean the second weekend in July, if you're around, I mean, I'd love to invite you to this play. She's got the lead role. She's memorized line. I mean, I've never seen anyone. I'm not lying. I thought when I met my wife, who has 3 degrees, who is the most tenacious person I've met to date. Like, I'm tenacious. Like, I'm gonna eat you. All right. But when I asked my wife one time, I was like, Shay, can you speak at this event with me? And man, I just saw her a week prepare for a 20-minute talk about goals. And I'm like, man, who puts that type of effort in? I mean, I don't even put that type. Like, I just wrote this podcast. I wrote 5 lines. And I'm just like, I don't even know what I just said. I'm just trying to be real. Like, this is not easy and it's not scripted. It's just, I live an unscripted life. Thank you, MJ DeMarco. His new book's out. You must do it. But man, my daughter that I live at the crib, who's 12 years old, that is like, she recorded all her lines. Her and her mom went through, memorized these lines. I mean, and sing it. I mean, like, I can't imagine if she put that type of energy into a business. I don't even put that type of, I mean, this gal is grinding it out in the morning. She's singing, and in the afternoon after lunch, working her lines. And then she's practicing and moving and dancing and sing. I mean, this is crazy, the type of tenacity. And then, you know, she had to make decisions. Should I go to volleyball or not? And then she said no to one and yes to another. Just seeing a 12-year-old make hard decisions. Oh, it's juicy. And then this gal comes home last night. Just my daughter just can't. Now, this is my first one, okay? Now, my first one, if y'all don't know, I did drop the hammer on her on the finances. Like, you're going to go, this is my first one. Just I'm going to give you perspective on Kennedy Grace. Okay. Kennedy Grace, when she was around 6, we drove her, my wife drove her around selling candy bars. And the reason why we did it, we wanted to get her to face rejection. I know we're bad parents. I know somebody, called DHS on me. I'm not joking. This is the real deal, Holyfield. That Kennedy wanted to do some kind of financial camp or something. I don't remember. And I was like, she needs to learn how to learn to earn. And one day they went to Sam's Club, bought boxes of candy bars, and they sold them all out within an hour. And then, all right, okay, so that was level 1. Then level 2, she came on the Steve VanCauwenbergh squad, Savvy. And I took her for months, maybe even years. I don't know. Even Thomas Morgan came out there too. I took her to the flea market. And every Saturday we bought and sold. Every Saturday we bought stuff, and we would use our lines, and she would walk up to people and just point blank and I'd start. She didn't even know what ratios were. She didn't know what percentages were. Would you take 50 cents for that $1 item? And to this day, at last night, she is so business minded, it blows my mind. And she's like, Steven, Dad, of course she didn't say Steven, come on now. She's like, Dad, you will not believe how much they're paying for costumes. Dad, they got this. And I'm like, why is she even thinking this way? This girl's memorizing all these lines. This girl's performing all these songs. She's got the lead role. And it's so crazy, so gangster that the people that picked her she had these callbacks. I don't know anything about this stuff. But anyway, callbacks and all this jazz. And they, after she got the part, she had to perform the songs, do all callbacks, 4-hour callbacks. And then 3 days into the deal, the folks were like, this is your first musical? And she's like, yeah, this is my first musical. I've never done this before. Gangster, that's why you do. You fake it till you make it, party people. You fake it till you make it. You walk with confidence. I can do it. No one can tell me I can't do it. Only you. It's your own self-belief. Even my 12-year-old just proved society that you can do it. That no one can tell you what you can or cannot do. It's what you make up in your mind that you're going to do. So get your out there, that's me on bleeping myself, and get up off that couch, turn off this podcast, and go write something down. I'm going to be this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to raise this much money. I'm going to buy this many units. I'm going to buy this many assets. And this is what I'm going to do. So the crazy thing, so my daughter comes home from volleyball, this is her last week because she's dedicated to this little play. And she's just breaking off all, the costumes are $100 a piece. And she's going through all that. I'm like, she's thinking like a promoter. She's putting it all together at 12 years old. Man, I'm telling you, we could talk about Kennedy Grace all day, every day. You got to listen to this. Anyway, so in my last and final thought, now, I think people need to get laser focused. And this is where I am at right now, 100. I'm going to schedule this time. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to answer my phone. I'm not going to answer no email. I'm not going to call anybody back. At this time, I'm going to work on this project. And what I've noticed, I think you should take a week or 3 days minimum to start writing out that plan. So, for example, in the accounting firm, Bang Bang, we were working on our sales, and I wrote out how many hours is it going to take to write a manual? How many hours is it going to take for me to do the videos? How many hours is it going to take to train somebody? And then I put it all together. I start writing it down. And then every day I just start grinding on my plan. Now the plan's going to be changed. It's going to variable. Things are going to happen. And then you will have victory. And so I have a timeline. I want this done by July 30th. And I'm going out of town somewhere in there. I got to allocate that. Who is my dream team? Who am I going to put on my dream team? And what specifically are they going to do? I'm telling you, I've changed. Savvy 2.0. Roll with me. I want you to look in the mirror, ladies and gents, girls and boys, little kids, grand adults. Look in the mirror and say, I'm 2.0. I'm new. It's 2021, COVID this, mother. It's time for you to rise up. There's no more excuses. Get out there and go buy an asset.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at SavvyRadioShow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.